Il senatore Agnelli e anche I capi fabbrica, I capi
Senator Agnelli, the plant manager and production manager at the time, were often in America and were on good terms with Ford.
Per cui quello che succedeva là si cercava.
They would try out what they were doing there, and if it was possible, bring it here.
In questo posto. Nel primo tempo era
in the beginning, the assembly line was run by hand, worked by the men.
Poi man mano che si è progredito,
later they motorized the line with a chain.
Una linea con una catena.
As in America, the faster the chain pulled the cars and engines along, the faster each man had to work. Giovanni Gobbi was a young supervisor.
Poi un bel momento I miei superiori da allora mi hanno messo in mano.
One day my boss put a stopwatch in my hand and said, "Go and time how long it takes to do that job."
Dal fatto di venire a contatto con una persona.
One of the first people I had to time was a man who could have been my grandfather.
Mio padre, ma addirittura mio nonno, coi baffi alla
cinese. He had the sort of long Chinese-style moustache people had then. The poor man was working away and I was a young kid having to time him. It was awful. I couldn't do it and asked for a different job.
E ho chiesto che mi cambiassero posto.
Steady when they're turning round the corner, in comfort when the roads are badly laid. Speeding along, sweet as a song comes the Ford.
Britain had more car workers than any other European country. Ford had had a British factory since 1912.
In the shining beauty all arrayed, speeding along, sweet as a song comes the Fords that have just been made.
But there were still only 1 million cars on British roads by 1929. Morris, the biggest domestic producer, made a film to promote their plant at Cowley, near Oxford.
Hello.
Hello, dear. Had a good day?
Yes, rather. I say, I wish you'd been with me. I've been to Cowley. You know, where they make Morris cars. It's awfully interesting.
That doesn't sound frightfully amusing to me. Aren't all these motorworks very dirty and noisy and rather dull?
Oh, not at all. Frankly, I've had a very good time.
At the pressed steel factory next to Morris, where they made car bodies, ex-coal miner Hayden Evans had a different view of it all.
My first impression was, what a terrible racket, what a terrible din. Gracious me, how can you possibly stick this? It's a bang, 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 it sounds from everywhere, you know, beating metal. It's hard to describe, very hard to describe. You've got to be in it to appreciate, and yet I ended up on the machines that was making the loudest noise in the motorworks.
Giant presses had replaced the hammers of the early British craftsmen at Vulcan.
One day I was turning these doors over, trip hammering along the door, and I tripped hammered my finger along the tip of it off. And I said to there was inspector near me, I said, I think I done something to my finger. And I pulled my glove off, which had cotton gloves, and the top of it was all flattened out. Anyway, I think I had 30 shillings for and I was idle 10 days, and I went back to work.
Morris workers didn't yet have a moving line. Instead, they still moved the cars on themselves. Unlike Americans, who were paid a flat rate per hour, the British had no guaranteed income. They earned on a piecework basis. If they fell behind, they lost pay. If they got ahead, it meant a bonus.
The harder you work, the more money you get. And I was fit and strong and willing, and I wanted to get there where the harder I worked, the more I'd have. I was only there, I only wanted, like other people, I was only there for one purpose, to get the money.
Car industry pay packets were envied by other workers. As in America, the car towns were islands of prosperity as the Depression was starting.
There was houses being built all around Oxford, different estates, Sunnyside Estate, Florence Park Estates, different estates. And your one incentive was to get enough money to put a down payment on a house.
At a time when the old heavy industries were laying workers off, more assembly line factories opened in the southeast of England. As companies saw the benefits of mass production, more men and women worked in the new way. The system was applied to batteries, vacuum cleaners, and biscuits.
There's a precision about this process that is utterly fascinating. And as one sees the orderly rows of biscuits to be moving steadily towards the ovens, one cannot help marveling at the ingenuity of it all. Approximately a mile of biscuits, 20 deep, passes through one oven in a day.
Occasionally, the machine would be just shut off, you know, so we weren't too pressurised, or someone had to leave to, you know, to go to the toilet or anything, but on the whole, we kept going. We'd use both hands. Whack, 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 whack. It's quick. You can do really very, very quickly.
At Reading, Huntley and Palmer's built their own equivalent of the River Rouge. Flour, butter and sugar poured in at one end. From the other streamed assorted biscuits. 3,000 worked there.
It wasn't the same every day. Sometimes, as I say, it would be almonds, sometimes just cherries, sometimes it'd be cherry and angelica. You see, it did vary.
Employers tried to keep unions out. Workers had to accept insecurity and sudden stoppages.
The foreman himself would come round and tell us that no more work on Saturday. We would be closed, shut out. And sometimes it would be a Saturday morning and a Monday all day, which we didn't care for because money-wise that made us very short.
The buying power of British wages was only a fifth as high as in America. The best paid still went to work on foot or by bicycle. Only the middle class could afford to buy the cars that were being produced.
Today, a woman uses the family car to take the children to school or to drive round to the shops. The car helps her to get through her daily routine quicker, leaving more time for exercise and enjoyment. It puts the country swimming pool within her reach, or takes her out to a golf course or tennis club in the afternoon. And now let's look at some of the additional accessories you can obtain for your Ford car. A combined sun visor and vanity mirror, so handy either for powdering your nose or keeping it from getting sunburnt. No need to disturb your handbag or exasperate your husband by using the car mirror. I have been keeping my most precious car possession to the last. Here it is. A radio set with which to while away long waits in traffic jams or to relieve the monotony of a long drive.
Though British employers didn't share the American boss's belief that paying high wages led to general growth, the consumer society was starting to cross the Atlantic.
This is the home of the radio gramophone. Hundreds of cabinets slowly moving on to completion. All components of the radio set are distributed by conveyors. We will just take a peep into the recording studio where Jack Hilton and his band are rehearsing.
How's that for balance, George?
It's not so bad. I think we ought to have the violins up a bit, a little bit weak, you know.
A bit nearer. A little more violins.
There are 2 lines of girls. I should supply them with all the bits they needed. The shatters, the transformers, and the valves, and the wire. When the girls finish the wireless sets, I should check them over, inspect them,